Hello, fellow seekers and self-explorers. So in this month's video, I'd like to share with you the concept of self-worth, my understanding of it, the story that came up for me this month about self-worth and how to cultivate it ultimately. So basically, this is what happened to me last month. I don't know about you guys, but last month was a little intense on my end. And interestingly enough, I found myself in this space of transition with work, with a lot of things. Just to put things back into context, last month I actually did a diet. I did a rose diet to connect with the spirit of the rose. So briefly, we're not going to go into too much depth here what dieting a plant is about. This was the very first experience for me, but I thought that might interest you, and that's going to give you some context. So basically, well, I've been receiving messages from the rose for a while. Actually, I think on my YouTube channel, I have this video of me, this picture of me smelling a rose. I didn't even realize it until recently. So this is what I'm talking about. You know, when sometimes you receive guidance or messages, can be from guides. In my case, it's very often with flowers, you know. But when you're not really ready to receive, well, you're just not really receiving. It is what it is. But last month, something clicked. I'm gonna make this long story short, but it was all about the rose for me. I would receive rose emails, a bunch of things about the rose. Music I would listen to. When I would turn on the TV, I would see roses. It was everywhere, everywhere. So things started to click. You know when that happens? You know, when things that before were just like, bah, whatever, everything started to become synchronistic and everything started to make sense. So all of a sudden, I remembered a medicine woman that I had met last year that actually was dieting plants. And I never really had heard of this before, like briefly, but I didn't really know what this was about. And she had mentioned the rose also. So it all started to make so much sense. I reached out to this woman, expressed my desire to diet this master plant, and she gave me a contact to purchase some rosebuds, petals. So basically, you connect with the plant by doing tea concoctions. It can be with actual roses, right? Meditating, contemplating. There is a little cleansing to do on the body to connect with the spirit of the plant to really give it a chance, right? To really clean ourselves first. So that was my journey. I did this for about 2 weeks. This is not what this video is about. I may do another one because I'm still integrating the depth of the work and the beauty of the teaching of the rose. And this is actually a little bit what this is about, because there was one teaching and it was about self-worth. So this is why really I want to share this with you guys today. So while I was waiting actually for the rose petals and the buds to arrive to be able to make concoctions and drink the plant, that it was coming from France, so it took about, like, let's say a little less than 2 weeks. But already when I had said yes, when I put my intention of doing this, the most amazing thing happened. First of all my schedule cleared. Like, I had a class that was canceled because not enough registered. So I canceled the class, and all the few clients that I had those weeks canceled. So I found myself with like this empty schedule, which, okay, great. So that was an opportunity for me to really sit with myself and the spirit of the rose, but also started to raise questions about my worth. What if all of a sudden, well, I don't have anything to do, no more clients, no more classes. And I started to see a lot of changes happening in my work. That again, I won't go into too many details, but I started not to freak out, but a little bit. It was a big change. I'm like, oh my God, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm gonna have to stop what it is that I'm doing. Or it was like something was happening all of the sudden. But I decided to focus all my attention on this rose diet, thinking, feeling that this was part of the process. All that to say that at the very beginning of saying yes to this diet, while I was waiting for the product to arrive, I had messages already from the rose in meditations and in dreams. I would wake up with a clear message of the next step. And the very first step, the very first message that I got was to clear my space, to clean the house. So I was doing a little cleansing already on my body to prepare myself, but now I was asked really to clean the house. And not, when we do some house cleaning, it needs to be done. So we do it fast and just because it's a chores that has to be done. You know, this was different. The message was to do one room at a time, very mindfully. And I went on that journey for a few days, right? So I'm not gonna go through everything that came through for me in this cleaning spree, but very profound. But this is where I'm getting with this. Eventually, I had to take care of this room where I work, where I do my videos, where I teach. That used to be my healing room also, where I would receive people for healing sessions. This is a very special room for me. This is also where I have my altar, where I meditate. So when I got into that room, it was very deep. It took me a few days. And at some point in this room, something came over me. I sat down and I started to feel very heated. So I went into a meditation. I sat down with this and I knew instantly where my altar needed to be, where I was going to sit with the rose and meditate and contemplate, which was very random because it's in a place actually right here, right here in this little corner here next to me. But this was full of shelves that were closed because full of books for my husband, mine that were there for years, right? So it's kind of like a little library thing that we haven't touched in a while. So I'm like, oh my God, this needs to go. All this needs to go. So that's what I did. It took me a day to clear that space, but I knew, I didn't even question it. I knew this had to be done. And while I was taking care of that little corner here, in the very, very, very bottom, what I saw were all my certificates that I had no idea they were here. I didn't even remember half of them, to tell you the truth. Certificates, some of them in frames, stuff that I've done over the years, diplomas. Most of them I don't even remember. I couldn't even tell you what it was. Counted them. It was like 20 papers like this. And I'm like, oh my God, this was so interesting. I sat with this. The work was so profound. The teaching was so profound already. So I was letting go of that little corner. I was releasing that little corner where all the diplomas and certificates that actually build my self-esteem over the years needed to go. It was time to release them. I did not throw them away yet. I put them in a little file, put them somewhere else, right? But the depth of the message was so powerful because also that month, that specific month when I decided to diet this master plant, which is the rose, all my scheduled cleared. All the schedule cleared. No more classes. My classes had been canceled because not enough people registered. The clients, the few clients that I had canceled. I had a clear schedule. Lots of changes were happening also at work, in my teaching work in the back community. And I started not to freak out, but I started to really question everything. Oh my God, what is my worth if it's not through those certificates, right? Through an institution, if I'm not being validated by students anymore, by clients anymore. And I started to go in this deep, deep, deep understanding of myself in a way, of how I was valuing myself. And this kind of goes back to the other video that I made last month about emotional autonomy, independence, however you want to call it. And I was seeing my ways of being dependent, right? And this kind of reminded me of that. If I don't depend on anybody else outside of myself to value myself, to give me value through those certificates, through my work, through my husband, my family, my friends, how do I value myself? And that got me to really question what is self-worth, right? So then I got to the understanding of the difference between self-esteem, which is what really those certificates helped build over the years, right? So self-esteem is really something that we that is built really with external sources. To put it simple. So it kind of feeds the ego, which is necessary. It is what it is. It's great. It's fantastic. No regrets, with all those certificates. So they build the self-esteem. But then what is self-worth? It's very different. Self-worth is really the value that I give myself outside of any successes or external validation. Very different. Very different. So really this video, you guys, is an invitation to question, wonder, how do I value myself? And a lot of us today, we define ourselves with our work, right? Especially if we have a high title of some sort, right? When we introduce ourselves, a lot of times we talk about what we're doing for a living. That's kind of how we define ourselves. That almost becomes our value to the eye of other people at times. Okay, so this is just an invitation of reflecting on that. Then I realized that I'm not really sure how I value myself. So I started looking into it. What is my self-worth? And then so that's why I put little tips here. Again, always keep what resonates and what you like and discard the rest, right? We all have different views and experiences and take only what resonates. So really to cultivate, I like to see this like a self-worth as a garden, um, inner garden. So really the self-worth comes from within. Self-esteem, you can get you build it from outside. Okay, builds the ego. Self-worth is different. It comes from within, and only you can cultivate it. That's what I realized, only I can cultivate my self-worth. So little tools and tips that can be helpful here is cultivate self-awareness. And so this channel really is about that, self-awareness. So self-awareness is about everything. You can ask yourself questions like, what's important to me? Um, what am I good at? Right? Those are questions, if you really sit with them, the answer don't come always like this, right? So that can be very interesting to cultivate those questionings. Also about self-awareness, and I'm a bit advocate of this. I actually made a video about this. Your thoughts, observe your thoughts, especially the negative ones, right? And the negative self-talk also. What's your inner dialogue? Become aware of this, observe this. All right. And then you can ask yourself also questions like, what triggers those negative thoughts or this negative self inner dialogue? What triggers it? So all this is part of cultivating self-awareness, and that helps strengthen your connection with your worth. Self-compassion is another big one. Cultivate self-compassion. And how do you do that? I'm a big perfectionist. So for me, I feel like I'm never enough, never good enough. This is a big one for me that I constantly work with. So cultivate self-compassion. And one thing that really helps, first thing that helps for me is to be kind with yourself, just like you would be with your best friend. Right? Sometimes it's so much easier to be nice with the friend than it is with ourselves. Be your own best friend. Practice that, cultivate that. And also for compassion, for self-compassion, remember that it's okay to make mistakes. We are not perfect. And I'm telling that to myself right here, right now. Right? Recognize that. Recognize, acknowledge imperfections. Very important. And forgive yourself. That's it. Right? Also cultivate a big, big, big one, self-care. Cultivate self-care. Very important. Allow yourself to take breaks and recharge when you need. Don't be afraid of that. Very important. Right? Prioritize your well-being. Not easy. Right? But cultivate that. Practice that. Practice that. Do things that bring you joy and that bring you relaxation. That is self-care. Okay. Another little important thing that I realize helped me so much is my relationships. Build healthy relationships. So important. I'm blessed with amazing friends in my life. And this is so important, you guys. People that make you feel good about yourself. So important to have that support system. People you can practice, you can also place boundaries with, place healthy boundaries, communicate your needs. That's going to help build also healthy relationships. And don't hesitate to seek support when you need. Yes, we're supposed to learn to self-regulate, but also sometimes it's too hard. It's okay to seek for support. All right. And another one also, because lots of change have been happening since this in my work, after the emptiness, the empty space that made me question my self-worth, a lot of amazing changes happen. So I realized also the importance of, sometimes we have a goal that seems so big, and oh my God, I can't, it's too hard, I won't be able to do it. And then we just give up. And in my case, I procrastinate a lot because it seems too big. Break down this big goal into tiny little goals, right? And celebrate the progress. And I realize for me, what helps me, it's not so much to focus on the outcome, but really to focus on the effort and the tiny little progress. Focus on the effort because I'm sure, I'm sure you can really see the effort. Sometimes we don't see the outcome and it doesn't matter so much. Focus on the effort, right? Recognize that, celebrate that. And that's going to build your self-worth from within. All right, you guys, this is it for today. I hope you found little tips here and there helpful. I don't have the answers, it's not like, oh my God, that's it. I feel I have self-worth now. No, 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 no. Just like everything in life, it doesn't happen overnight. It's about building it, it's about practicing it. Only you can do it. No one is going to do it for me. So, and that's what I've been doing, practicing this. And you can do it with a joyful heart because we are here to learn. And remember that always we are here to learn. We're not here to get anywhere, but really enjoy the process of learning. All right, you guys, this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I would be looking forward to share whatever will come up for me next month. All right, bye.